Okay, so thank you, Catherine, and thank you to Jonathan for putting these slides together. So in terms of the UK clinical update, this is the current iteration of the NICE treatment algorithm for myeloma. One thing I would say is it feels like it changes on a very regular basis, and it also looks very busy. So we've had significant approvals in the frontline non-transplant eligible setting, as Catherine just mentioned, with the approval of Dara-Lendex. We'll come on to it in a bit, that we are looking at several appraisals in the relapse setting that will hopefully be added to this algorithm in the not too distant future. The one thing to say about it being so busy is obviously there are many drugs that appear several times, and as we all know, using them beyond refractory isn't always beneficial. So there is a lot of work going on in the background to try and improve access and then lack of access to certain treatments that we all know are missing from this algorithm. But nevertheless, recent NHS England approvals include DRD for newly diagnosed non-transplant eligible patients. This is likely to be the first-line choice for most TNE patients. Certainly in my practice, that's what we're doing, apart from the perhaps very elderly, very frail patients who would struggle to come to the day unit for weekly daratumumab, who may opt for an oral option. This has also been approved by the SMC in Scotland. They actually approved it first, and it's also available in Wales and Northern Ireland. In terms of notable progress, selinexor has been working its way through NICE and NHS England in combination with Velcade and dexamethasone for treatment of patients at second line who have progressed on DRD. So these patients would be naive to a PI, and there's been a lot of work going on around behind the scenes in order to get SVD positioned at that point. The advantage to those patients is that they wouldn't be eligible for DVD because they're Dara refractory. Also, other options at second line, KRD wouldn't be available as they're refractory to lenalidomide, and KD in an older population could provide challenges, although it can sometimes be delivered with modifications. But SVC at second line hopefully will be there and confirmed. And then the other big one for the amyloidosis community is that finally daratumumab in combination with VCD has been approved for newly diagnosed AL amyloid patients. We're actually still waiting for the final publication of that. It's expected on and around the 27th of March. This is an appraisal that's been to NICE, it's been turned down. There was appeal with a lot of support from the amyloid community, and it really will be a game changer for them off the back of the Andromeda data. So thank you to everyone that's been involved with that. In terms of applications that are in process, there are some drugs that have previously been on the Cancer Drugs Fund that come to the end of their CDF life and need to be approved or not approved. One example of that is isatuximab in combination with pomalidomide and dexamethasone at fourth line. This is still in the consultation process, and we can't yet say for sure whether or not ISA-PD will remain at fourth line, but again, there is a lot of work going on around that. Belantamab at fifth line has also been looked at. That's currently on hold because as yet belantamab doesn't have an MHRA license, although that is in progress. Then we come on to the bispecifics. So there's two BCMA-directed bispecific antibodies that are going to NICE this spring. Elranatamab was there last week on the 14th of March, and myself and Gordon Cook did that appraisal. So that's for triple refractory patients, fourth line plus. And then hot on the heels, there is teclistamab, which I think is next week or next month, very soon. Similar BCMA-directed subcutaneous bispecific antibody. And, you know, we really hope that one or both of these drugs will get through because there's a huge gap. That algorithm that I showed you, it looks very busy, but there is nothing BCMA-directed on there. So we just have to keep working until we get one of them through. And then finally, selinexor with dexamethasone only at fifth line. There are commercial negotiations going on to see if that can be made available. Again, selinexor is a drug that has a different mode of action. It's oral, so can potentially benefit some patients in the relapsed and refractory setting. Also, through UKMS, Martin Kaiser heads up a really important piece of work around pathway optimization. and basically allowing the clinical community to get involved in negotiations around making treatments available that we know are effective and often will have a license even though they've not been through the NICE approval process. So an example of that might be PVD, which has not really been used much in the UK, and there may be restructuring that can be facilitated to allow that to happen. None of those things have actually got over the line yet, but we are working hard behind the scenes to see what we can do to try and make the pathway fit better and work better for patients. Another example, which I'm sure all of you will have thought about, is, well, if we can use DARA VTD, why can't we use DARA VRD, especially now R is cheaper than T? That, again, there's work going on. It is actually a cost saving in comparison to DARA VTD, but as you might imagine, it's still not a simple process. But again, watch this space, keep an eye on our website and other websites for further information about that. Okay, so that's all from my clinical update. I'm just going to hand over to Jackie to give some perspectives from a nursing point of view.